No.
No, really, nothing.
Well, that's not true. I mean, I've been telling you that I'm trying to work on my database,
Yes,
and I got a phone call today from a client I closed in 2011 that's looking to refinance.
that's pretty
Yay!
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago. That's 5 years.
Right, right. It's amazing to me. It's always been amazing to me where business comes from when we least expect it. That's super
I
cool.
agree.
That's super cool. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, guys, I'm going to kind of go back into a little bit more of the mindset that I want you guys to start thinking of. Dave, I know that you're fairly new, and Erica, you've been in the business for a couple of years, but I'm curious to know if anybody's ever looked at the business in this respect. Does everybody have their computer screens up and running, right?
Hey, yeah, hey, Doug, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Is this Dave?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to get it set up through my desktop, and I was having some issues, so I just called it in, and but I'm glad that we're good to go.
Awesome. So, survival. I'm trying to do this, so bear with me. I've never done this before. So, every one of us knows, and I'm going to use realtors as an example. How many of us know that know a realtor that literally has a job? That's all they do. They come to work and they might close a deal, they might get a real estate listing, they might get a lead, but none of them really have a plan, so to speak. I know many of those. How about you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of them.
There's a lot of them. So when we look at our mindset, the lowest level of this conversation starts with where people are in survival mode. They live paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, and there's a lot of reasons why we as business owners and professionals don't tend to connect with agents as much as we would like, and a lot of it has to do with where they're at mentally in their business. And so when you start to elevate yourself and you start seeing yourself in a different light, now you have what's called a business.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Erica, can you hear me?
Yeah, it just keeps cutting in and out. Sorry.
Oh, I apologize. Okay. Survival, and this is called success. How many of us have been in a position where we've decided that mortgages are what we want to do for the rest of our life? I know exactly the day when that happened for me. That was about 4 years after I got into the business, and I realized that the opportunity that this business provided me and the freedom, it was something that I knew I wasn't ever going to find anyplace else. At that point, I made the mental shift from being in what's called a job to being in a business, to being to looking at it and saying, I don't just come to work just for the paycheck. I come to work because I can see a future here. How about you guys? Any one of you guys reached that point in their career yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. A little bit of success, meaning we're not living hand to mouth. We're not living paycheck to paycheck. We have a little bit of momentum, and we continue to build on that. This is where this next rung is where most of us get separated from the rest. We have a career. I'm sorry, I'm writing this so slowly. Career. What's the definition of a career to you, Dave?
Career, it is something that you do day in and day out that you like doing, that provides income for the lifestyle of your choice.
Perfect. I love it. What about you, Erica? Erica, you there? I lost her. Hey, Dave, can you see what's on the screen now?
Yes, I can. It looks like steps.
Stability?
Survival, success, stability, job,
Yep.
business, career.
Yep. What happens in this point, this point, the last rung, which is where we call it the calling, calling, and this is significance. And for lack of a time, the bottom one is called significance. I didn't get to this stage until January of 2013 when I started my career path here in 1995. And the reason that, are you there?
Sorry, I got cut off. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Go for it.
Let me explain to you guys why this model had such an impact for me. It was because I could see the growth of my mindset over the course of the years and why I was capable of meeting certain people's needs and not meeting other people's needs. When you look at your clients, when you look at your consumer, not your consumers, but when you look at your referral partners, ask yourself how many of your referral partners, where they fall in one of these 4 stages. And I'm willing to bet you that the realtors that you're attracted to fall into the very similar category that you see yourselves in. I always loved presenting this presentation to a realtor when I met with them before we got into any details of whether or not we were going to be a good fit, because it always gave me a really good indication of where their mindset was at. See, I never wanted to assume that the agent that I was talking to was equal or better than me. I always assumed that they didn't know any different, and so many agents have never really taken the time to look at where they're at in relationship to where their business is. But I'm willing to bet you, Erica or Dave, if you were to sit down and you were to ask any one of your agents by drawing this out for them, ask them where they think they're at on this ladder to success, and ask yourself how you would talk to them differently if you knew that they were really in a position of surviving paycheck to paycheck and they were in a job. And the same thing applies for, whether or not they've reached some success in their business, or if they've made this a career and they've reached some stability and they're waiting for that next evolution of their business to come. I've only met a very, very select few of realtors that are in the position right here right in this area. I've met very few, probably 5 agents in my entire career that fit in this model. Most of them were down here. Can you guys think of any realtors off the top of your head that fall into, let's say, the survival and job category?
Yeah, I talked to a realtor today that he works 2 jobs over the weekend and doesn't really do any real estate business, but he's trying.
Okay. Therein lies the question that I'm going to pose to you. Think of your mindset compared to their mindset. I don't believe for a moment that you guys are in a position to where you wouldn't be able to make great strides in your business if you took the time and invested the time and energy into it. The difference is there are certain people, no matter how hard they try, they're just never going to make the full commitment because they're too busy working 2 to 3 other jobs. I never wanted to spend my time with agents that weren't committed to at least being in the stability career or the success in business arena. I wasn't going to ever be able to create a message about the referable process that I've created, or the power of my database, or the power of delivering exactly on what I promised to my clients if they weren't in that mindset. And so what I want you guys to realize moving forward, every time you're out there connecting with people, whether you're at a networking event with a BNI, an LBN, or a Chamber of Commerce, or wherever you guys are trying to kind of to position yourself, ask yourself this question: where do I show up? And if I show up in this way, who am I attracting? Are you attracting the bottom feeders that want more from you, or are you attracting those people that are above you that you want to get to know and become more of an alliance with? When I made that shift, it was amazing how many different networking functions I went into and only needed to talk to 1 to 2 people, not everybody. And I didn't seek out the realtors. It was funny. I didn't really pursue the agents. I always pursued business owners. I always looked for those people that own the business that they were promoting, whether it be a print shop, whether it be a graphic art and design shop, whether it be an automotive facility. It was great because those people always attracted like-minded individuals, and I always felt like I had a better dialogue and a better chance to establish a healthier and more symbiotic relationship with them than trying to work with those people that were in the survival and job mode. Can you guys understand that, and can you guys get that by any chance?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you guys are interviewing your realtors and you guys are talking to them about whether you're going to do business with each other or not, Dave, if it was you that was saying it, what was it about that agent that has those two jobs that really made you attracted to them in the first place? Like, what brought you to that meeting?
So with that realtor in particular, I met him at a networking event, a real estate, the Michigan Real Estate Mastermind event, and I talked to him, and I met him when I wasn't doing much business as well either, and we were doing a lot of open houses together, and and so I met with him to give him some, some marketing, and talk to him with some marketing ideas and that, and so really actually over the past few months I haven't talked to him much, and we had a client that we were working with together, and his offer basically fell through because of a short sale, and we were waiting on the bank for a while. He called me back and was like, hey, let's next month to place an offer on another house, and so that kind of was. So I had a conversation with him today, and but I don't talk to him much anymore because he isn't doing any business. But at the beginning, we were doing open houses together and trying to get some business.
Can you see where sitting down with any referral partner, I don't care if it's an attorney or a CPA or a realtor or a financial planner or whomever you want to get business from, can you see drawing this out for them and asking them to be honest with you as to where they see themselves? And it was always really awesome with the people that wanted to be better, because they would openly look at that and go, well, I'm kind of right here in the survival mode because I've kind of got two jobs. But to be honest, I'm really pushing myself to get to the place where I have enough business to where I can quit those other two jobs. And it was always fun to have the dialogue back, which was like, what kind of things are you doing? Like, what kind of opportunities are you providing yourself? Where are you seeing the opportunities in your business? And the really amazing part is we've all started at the bottoms at some place. And with a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance, the cream always rises to the top. And I would never shut down somebody who is driven and who is excited and who is coachable. But for the most part, those people are few and far between. Now, if this agent that you're working with is curious, this would be the agent that you could sit down and draw this with and go, listen, I would love to be a partner, and that's the key word, in your development, but you and I would have to sit down and decide how that partnership looks. And I think anytime that you can produce a visual like this, it gives somebody a chance to kind of help them create a benchmark for themselves. And you have to analyze, like, what does having a business look like? Does it mean where he simply only has real estate to do and nothing else, and he's reached some success in his life? And then from there, you guys can develop a strong friendship around helping him get better. And that's where you create the best loyalty, is whenever you can help somebody improve their life, man, that's priceless. And so a lot of good conversations have always come out of this presentation, especially with new agents, especially with younger agents, people that are trying to decide if they want to get into the business, heck, even with LOs that I brought into my companies. The other part of it is it was always really awesome to provide that information to a financial planner or an attorney, because they all think that they're business owners and they all believe that they've reached this point, but many of them can never pinpoint on a map like this where exactly they stand. And this little analogy really helps kind of drive home the point. And it does make you look a lot different to the people you're talking to. You look more credible. You appear to be more professional. You appear to be more of a coach or a guide and less of just as a loan officer. I know we talked one of the weeks about the difference between being an LO and an originator. This conversation is more about being an originator and less about being a loan officer. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Has anybody ever seen this thing before?
No.
No? Okay. Do you think you could see yourself using this in front of a realtor?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So last week we ended the conversation about making requests. I think. I've had so many of them, I'm not quite sure. How did we end the conversation last week? Does anybody remember?
No, I thought that we had ended it with talking about the value that we provide to the client, like why they should be using us.
Okay.
Yeah,
did anybody have?
That's what I have in here.
Okay, awesome. How did had anybody tried using that in front of the client? Has anybody tried using that conversation style in front of their perspectives?
I did it today.
How did it go?
It went awesome. I'll tell you what. So so basically, the way when I was, I'll tell my, basically, to recap it is where I told him, what my expectations are, what we're gonna do for him and his wife, because they're first-time home buyers, and that we want to make the home buying process, as enjoyable as possible. And my expectations for him getting back information to me when we request it, and basically completely, sold myself and listen, we're going to take you through the process. I have an awesome team in place dedicated to help you get into your house, on time, by the contract date, in the purchase agreement. And, we're going to walk you through, we're going to have awesome communication. And when I did it through that way versus just talking with someone, say, asking them, what their needs are and all that.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
saying, oh, send you some checklists. Basically, what it dawned on me is that I sold myself to him on why he wants to do business with me, because we're going to be the best at it, and it was it worked perfect.
You can see you can see it in their eyes when they begin to listen to you, and they really start engaging with what you're saying, because you're communicating at such an emotional level, because what you're doing is selling yourself by telling him what the benefit is without even having to say you. You're not using I statements anymore. You're using we statements, and this is what's going to do for you. And when you take the I out of every conversation, it actually promotes and amplifies the relationship with the person you're sitting in front of, because you're putting yourself inherently behind them in the actual conversation, which is awesome. Well, then this leads to exactly the next point that I wanted to share with you. So one of the greatest tools that we have as loan officers or as originators, let me be more clear about that, is our ability to create expectations. Do you think that our clients walk into our meetings, whether they're a first-time home buyer or a second or a third-time home buyer, do you think they have certain expectations of what the home buying process is going to be like?
Yeah.
For the most part, don't you think that everybody has a wide range of expectations?
Yeah, I mean, some people can basically be like, I don't know, and
which is an expectation in and of itself.
Yeah, and a lot of them, I think that if me personally, if being not in mortgage, if I wasn't in the mortgage industry, I'd be thinking, man, how does this work? I'd have expectations that I want my loan officer to teach me, how the process works, and it would be completely open and explain it to me, and have my realtor explain, how the process works of submitting an offer and what we got to do to be able to buy a house.
How many realtors do you think sit down with their clients and really map out what the realities of buying a house are like?
The good ones, so probably 5%.
Yeah, let's be clear about that. There's a specific time to position yourself in front of the client and to create proper expectations. Most of the reason why our businesses struggle, most of the reason why our businesses don't catapult themselves into that next layer that we talked about just a few minutes ago, is largely due in part to the fact that we don't create proper expectations between us and the consumer, or us and the realtor. Most of the reason why realtors become so angry and so disgruntled when the process doesn't go perfectly isn't because of the problem itself. It's because the realtor failed to set proper expectations. Can you all hear me on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of the time, it is a lack of communication and a lack of proper expectation setting by the agent, the title company, the listing agent, the list goes on. So I always took it upon myself to make it abundantly clear in the onset of my dialogue with my client that at some point you guys are going to hate me. It's going to be inevitable, and I expect it, that as we navigate this home buying process, there are literally 100 things that could go wrong during the process, of which we have a few that we can control, but a majority of them come from things that have nobody to blame. And so I want to make it clear that as we navigate this process, I'm expecting you guys to get mad at me at some point. And I know you don't mean it intentionally, and you guys have to understand that I don't do it deliberately. And the beauty of that whole conversation in the very beginning of the meeting always helped me set the stage for setting the bar of expectation at a low enough point that it was always easy for me to step over it. I wasn't going to have to leap over a building to accomplish it. All I was going to have to do was take a step over the bar that I set, because I created this appearance that the process is going to be hellacious. Guys, we've done enough loans where we know that Murphy's Law applies. You could have a perfect borrower, a perfect property, and wouldn't you know it, the seller does something stupid. You could have a horrible borrower, and you could have a horrible property, and wouldn't you know it, the seller and the listing agent are the biggest agents on the face of the planet, and they're the ones that are going to trash you to the day you die. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. The process is never going to be perfect. So I used to embrace that idea. I used to use it to my advantage. I used to make it a point of a humorous conversation while I was trying to position myself as being the most credible person that they should talk to about doing a mortgage with. What's on the screen is literally a document that I would mail to them after my appointment, along with a letter in the front that talked about being a pilot of your plane, talking to them about the turbulence that was going to ensue. Now here's the beauty of it. Can anybody see a negative as to why I would, is there a negative in doing this? Does anybody have a reason why they wouldn't want to share this?
No.
There isn't one. And here's the best part about it, is that when something did go wrong, guess what? I picked up the phone and was like, hey, Erica, Dave, guess what? Can you do me a favor? Can you look at number 52? We have a listing agent who literally has no control over the client. The listing agent has allowed the seller to take a vacation 2 days before our closing date, and now they're not going to be back because their plane got delayed. I'm sorry. What does that do for my relationship with the borrower? If I'm able to set the stage in the very beginning and a problem does happen, what does that do between my relationship with the borrower? Anybody have an idea? Does it make me look bad?
No, I mean, it makes it look like that, you know, you did your job and you told them up front, you know, there could be some things that happened. You showed them this document up front, and they can't be mad. Well, they can't be mad at you, and they can only give you more credibility because you told them this up front. I mean, that's what I would think.
That's exactly what happens. It's exactly what happens. The beautiful part about this entire piece of paper and the presentation that I used around it was really designed in my head to go, I know that there's going to be a problem. It's inevitable. It's just a matter of which problem. So instead of trying to guess which problem, I always simply blanketed the conversation by saying, at some point, you're going to hate me. I know that I'm going to call you up. You have already sent me some documents, and I'm going to call you up where my team is and be like, listen, what you sent me isn't going to work. And you're going to go, oh, my God, I can't believe you guys want my blood type. And I will tell you that every time the conversation like that happened in the beginning when I was trying to originate the relationship, it always turned into something funny. It was always a fun conversation. And you know what happened every time the client did get mad? they would always go, I can't be that mad, you told me so. And it was always a way to diffuse the situation. How many of us have been in our transactions where we wish we would have had the upper hand when the problem arose, that we would have looked better at the moment, even though it wasn't our fault, or even though it wasn't something we had control over? Haven't we all wished that we could have been ahead of the curve and been able to kind of forecast it before it happened? I know I have. In my career, I wish it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost a weekly experience. This form, and this does not encompass every possible problem, but this form was strong enough to a consumer because they have no expectations. And the expectations that they had, if they bought a house 2 months ago, the entire world is entirely different than what it was 60 days ago. So the idea that a client shows up with no expectations of what your role and responsibility is kind of like them walking up with a blank piece of paper and saying, paint it and we'll buy it. And the reality is that every buyer that walks into your office, you literally can mold into exactly what you want them to see you as. This document, the types of turbulence that I call it, provided me with a chance to make sure that I was always viewed as the credible one. And you know, the amazing part is, I've given this form and this presentation to handfuls of realtors throughout my career. I can't even tell you if my agents, or the agents that I've given this to, if 90% of them are even using it. I don't think anybody is. I think they look at it as being something that was insignificant, or it was too much to worry about, or they didn't want to show them all the things go wrong because they feel like they'd be challenged on it. The truth in the matter is, the clients don't really have an understanding of what could go wrong. They look to us and the agent, and typically the agent goes, oh, it'll be no problem. Let me just fill out the form, we'll submit it, and then we'll put it all on the lender's plate, right? That's kind of how it goes. And we're the ones left holding the bag when things don't go right. And the realtors and the listing agent and the seller always tend to get all up in arms because they feel like it was something we didn't do or we did. I'm telling you guys right now, as you're trying to build your relationships up with your realtors and your clients, and you're trying to elevate your mindset from being out of a job and into a career or a business, please take a look at what that means to your clients. They expect you to be the professional. They expect you to be the one that communicates and tells them the truth and the realities of the situation. Any sugarcoating of the transactions, it doesn't help you. I guarantee you that if you were to look back at your last 30 transactions, Erica, I can't imagine more than 5 of them went flawlessly. Is that fair?
There may have been more than that.
Okay, but
not
there have
all
been
of them,
no. Okay, not all of them.
A good portion of them.
Okay, a good portion of them go perfectly, just as expected.
Yeah.
Awesome. No appraisal issues, no realtor issues, no seller issues, no lender issues. It all goes well.
Knock on wood. Yeah, this year has been good.
That's awesome. Wow. I want to work.
I mean, last year it was like I had an appraisal issue on every other loan.
Right. Something as simple as that.
Title issues that came up, but this year, I don't know. It hasn't been that bad, but you're right. I mean, it's not. There are things that come up all the time that have nothing to do with necessarily the loan officer that can kill a deal. We don't have any control over.
Right. And the sellers are not our client. Our client is the one that's buying it. And any time that we can set the bar of expectation up and lower it as low as possible, it's to our benefit. And here's the real cool part. As you say, Erica, more and more of your transactions have been going smoothly. You know what the beautiful part is that because I only had 5 contacts with my clients through the process, and I called them. One of the points was when they got their clear to close. It was always a great conversation when we didn't have a major issue or a significant delay or something that came up that would have caused everybody to panic a little bit. I always like picking up the conversation and saying, hey, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Client, could you do me a favor? You guys remember that document I sent you at the beginning called the turbulence? And they're like, oh, yeah, we remember that. Well, the good news is that we didn't hit a single one. We avoided all 85 of these transactional issues, and you're going to close exactly as expected. doesn't that give you a chance to really leverage the relationship? Doesn't it really make you look like you are a superhero in some respects? Even though it could have been flawless and you knew it from day one, what's the benefit of not at least preparing them for the worst case?
No, I definitely think you should prepare for worst case scenario.
Yep. It's kind of like the way a doctor talks to you when you go in for surgery. I got my knee operated. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it may be because I'm more used to setting the expectation that everything is going to go wrong, that I've had so many that weren't because I was just in a habit of the absolute worst.
Right. I loved, I think if you're having that conversation anyway, this document, either as an email or as a hard letter that you mail out to them, just amplifies your commitment to making sure they know what potentially could go wrong, and they look at you as being the professional and really the one that looks at their business differently than the agents do. This goes back to just setting the expectations. This goes back to the mindset and why I started with that presentation earlier about the job, the business, the career, and the stability. Because I think a lot of times we are so quick just to move through a transaction and to move through the opportunities to build relationships that we never get a chance to really spend time originating that relationship to its fullest. And this types of turbulence is just one of the little ways that I use to help manage my relationships so that I could leverage them through the process, so that I could get and could ask and could promote our business and their willingness to advocate us to the people they care about. That's all.
Yeah.
Dave, can you see the benefit of this by any chance?
See the benefit of it? Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Would you think that this would work in your presentation with your client today?
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely think so.
Okay. I'm going to email you both a copy of the letter and this. And Dave, if I was you, I would pick up the phone when I got this and call up your client and go, listen, I made a mistake yesterday. I failed to give you one bit of information that I'm sure you're going to want to know. And because I care so much about my relationship with you and who referred you to me and however else you want to position it, this is a great form to go over with them and just let them know that at some point, some of these things may happen. We're going to navigate through 99% of them, but there might be one or two that show up, and I just want to make you abundantly aware that these are the things that could go wrong. Please let me know if you have any questions and take it from there. And just watch what happens to the relationship. Watch what happens to the conversations that you have with your borrower as they go through the home buying process. It'll be transformative.
Yeah, definitely send it over, and I'll make the phone call right away, and I'll see how it goes. Because if it makes it better, I mean, I'm all here for it. I know they're calling the call, so if it helps us, if it helps make us better, then I'm all for it.
It puts you in a position of being the professional. It takes you away from being in a job, and it puts you into the mindset of having a business. It takes you from being a loan officer to an originator. It takes you from being an employee to a business owner. This conversation is higher level thinking, and this conversation is more positioning for the future benefit of how they're going to see you and how they're going to help you with your business by advocating you to the friends that they care about. But I tell you what, as they go through the process, if this transaction goes as smoothly as you and I both hope it will, you can use this form as a means to say, I'm really hoping that I've earned the right to ask you for a referral. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, I'm going to put it to work, and I'm going to give it. I will. What was it saying? I'm not going to try, but I will do it. I will.
We'll do it.
I will put this in place, and I look forward to seeing how the transaction plays out with it.
Awesome, love it. Does anybody have any questions for me today?
No, this is awesome though.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys see the value in it. I loved using it. I loved having fun with it. And believe me, when I say this, there are probably things on here that you guys can add, and by all means, add it. Make the list as long as humanly possible. All right, guys.
All right.
That's all I got. I'll send you the email when I'm done here, and the recording, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Guys. Take care.